Back with another draft profile video, and today we're here to go to the offensive line with DJ Campbell out of Texas, so let's get right into it. Today we're talking about an offensive lineman with tons of experience at the right guard position. 4 years played, 7 games he appeared in his freshman season, but since that time he's been a consistent starter for Texas, racking up over 800 snaps in each of the past 3 seasons, all at the right guard position, has been incredibly reliable, a former number 9 ranked nationally offensive guard coming out of high school that this past season statistically is in a pretty good spot. 11 hurries allowed, 6 quarterback hits, 1 sack allowed on the season. And DJ Campbell is someone that I think will grow on you a bit the more that you watch what he's capable of, when you see some of the athleticism tied along with the size and the frame that he carries at 6'2.5", 320 pounds. Not the tallest, but he does seem to have some pretty plus length as well for an interior offensive lineman. For me, both pass game and run game, I have the same grade overall there, but we'll go through all the traits and stuff towards the end of this. Let's start first with the pass game. First thing that I do like, same thing in run game, is I like his quickness off the ball. I think there's a very good consistency to his timing off the snap. He sets himself up early. He wins early, specifically as a run blocker. He plays with a wide base, active footwork and pass pro. I think the big challenge here is feels like he gets a little bit lackadaisical, where he gets a little bit upright. He doesn't necessarily have immediate work, and in that case, you'll see oncoming defenders that can get into his chest. He also doesn't play with a consistent posture that's always settled back. Instead, it has a little bit more of a forward kind of hunched over approach, which can absolutely allow guys to get in his chest and create some real problems, but it also can give up an edge occasionally as well. But I love the consistency, the ability to wall off blitzers. He did a really nice job against Ohio State, whether that was taking on blocks in the run game against Arvell Reese, or even for blitzing linebackers at the second level, to consistently pick those guys up, seem to have no problem with it, and kind of just drag them slowly out of the play. Now, one thing you'll notice is he does tend to lose his footing too often. There's a lot of things I like about his footwork, but he gets on the ground too much. And I think as a run blocker, it shows up more so because he doesn't create the consistent movement at the point of attack. But in pass pro, he gets himself in some tricky spots where he just gets tangled up and he hits the ground. But you do get to see the recovery athleticism that he carries, by how quickly he can recover and establish himself off the ground in those spots. And it's the same thing that shows up when he's got to deal with stunts or late rushers. Some of the ability to reconnect his footwork, settle himself down, and get himself positioned to have success, and really kind of just, again, wall off pass rushers. So to continue on there, one of the underrated, I think, elements of his game will be the flexibility that he carries. I think he's got some real strong flexibility, which can allow him to create an anchor in pass pro. He also has some patience when you're talking about getting depth in some of his pass sets. He doesn't tend to rush into those things. He's got good patience. He plays with good depth. He doesn't let guys get behind him. He balances really well when he's redirecting his footwork, and he also makes himself pretty long when working from gap to gap. Again, I think he has good length, and as long as he is patient within his footwork, he can play pretty long. He does a great job of working with teammates as well. This is going to show up as a run blocker in some of his fits, but also as a pass protector, utilizing the drag hand, feeling his support next to him, and he very quickly recognizes and feels dropping off pass rushers and picking up new pass rushers. He has a really good sense for that, an instant ability to redirect with stunt rushers. He's got loose hips, which I think goes back to the flexibility, that recovery flexibility that you're looking for to really drop and sink back under your pads, and really active eyes. Doesn't typically let defenders get behind him in pass pro. You'll see him play with a very consistent depth. He does have a little bit of a higher cut pad level, and again, I don't think he plays with the best posture consistently, which can be a problem. And he does give up a softer edge, which does allow defenders to get upfield. He allows guys to get an edge on him, and sometimes I think it's his own doing, especially in shorter sets, by some of the aggression and the way that he attacks. Sometimes when he's jumping his sets, and all of a sudden he puts himself in a pretty bad spot. So there is that issue, and laterally, I don't think he's the quickest in terms of pass protection. He's smooth, he's fluid, he redirects well, he's connected, he's balanced, but I don't think he's the quickest laterally to kind of just cut guys off consistently. He's always running his feet. He runs his feet with a leveraged entry, gives support that way as well. His problem is just he needs to stay square, I think, a little bit more early in pass pro. I think he tends to get himself at some bad angles early in pass protection, gets his shoulders turned, and he makes it difficult for himself a little bit to stonewall some pass rush reps as early as he may need to. When you get to the hand usage, as you're going to see here, I'm a much more middling on his hand usage. I think it's average right now. I think there's a lot of work that can be done, that needs to be done specifically. Obviously, he will get some holding calls well. He'll come in a little bit wide. Big thing I have in pass pro is I don't think he consistently replaces his hands, especially when his latch does come in wide. He does have a very strong first punch. I think he's got an effective first punch. He's got a strong upper body at the point of attack, and you see that punching power. He just can be a little bit of a step late and allow him to not be incredibly sturdy at that initial point of attack. But again, he does have the footwork to stay connected when he's retreating, in pass protection when he needs to quickly gain depth and create depth, to not fall over himself and be able to actually accomplish those things and have that kind of recovery athleticism. And his long reach allows him to really stab defenders, kind of slow down reps early, not allow guys to cross his face. And you'll see this from kind of loops and stunts and crashes. He's effective in that spot. He can really attack openings that present themselves. And again, he's got a good feel for dealing with that. It's occasional that he'll get himself out of position looking for that early entry point, especially if you ask him to be more aggressive in pass pro. I think the aggressive nature is actually the area that he needs the most work. I like him when he's patient. I think he's built to be aggressive, but I think that's where it's going to take the most work because that early punch has to be more consistent for him, and he's got to position himself better in the lower body. That moves you to the run game. This does grow on you specifically. He's a little bit heavy, and he's a little bit higher when you talk about getting out of stance and some of those gap run plays when he's utilized the puller, but he is utilized the puller as a lot. And I think a big part of this is, again, he's very quick. He's got very good quickness off the line. He wins early. That's how he wins. I didn't love him in some of the wide zone usage because I just felt like he didn't have lateral quickness, and it would just cause him to get behind. And then he was playing with no knockback, and he was constantly living behind the line of scrimmage, which is a problem, and it's hard to sustain doing that. But I think more inside zone, especially if you get his fits cleaned up, inside zones, outside zones, or that gap scheme can absolutely be effective for him. Again, active footwork to connect. He can run. He has sustainability upside for sure here. He enters low when he's working on the backside. He can kind of hinge off runs, and he creates some leverage. You'll see that when he's trying to fit into blocks and create some double teams. Whereas awareness needs work here to me is kind of a feel, and this shows up for like, okay, here's a slanting front, and it's just how does he enter into that? How does he adjust to it? At times, you don't feel like he really does. Even as a puller, sometimes I don't think he adjusts very well to who he's picking up when he feels defensive leverage, which can be a problem. So for me there, I think that's where your awareness needs work. And again, some of it's just over aggressiveness, but he can tap into that. He's just got to be more consistent. He does fail to me to create immediate knockback, and that I was hoping to be more. I was hoping to see more power from his game overall. I just didn't feel like I got that consistently. I don't think his pads consistently get square, so I just don't think you feel it as much. I think there's a lot more in the tank that he showcases. I just don't think it's consistently there, whether that's a lack of leverage, not having his pads behind him, a weird entry, a weird fit. Like, I just don't feel like you get that immediate knockback, or not being in a spot because of his footwork right off the line. See, when he's kind of fitting into doubles, you just don't get the pushback that you would consistently expect. For me, what I do like, though, is that he can keep his pad level down for the inside zones. You put him on the front side, he can keep his pads down. He's quick off the ball. He's wide in his stance, and he'll really kind of seal off blocks. His best attribute to me here is this feel for angles and creating run lanes. I think this is where he thrives. He has the footwork to do this, right? He's going to position himself really well. As long as he has the athleticism to get there, he positions himself incredibly well. He seals blocks all the time, especially when he's working to the next block, and he creates run lanes constantly. His feet get a little bit tangled up because I think sometimes he doesn't get that immediate push at the point of attack, but he's smooth off the backside of inside and outside fits. He works well through the hip of the center that's next to him. Hand placement, again, some issues, coming out wide, kind of getting caught hugging blocks. You saw Katie McDonald was constantly just kind of living in his chest as a run blocker against Ohio State to begin this season. His angles to entry on pulling blocks is really good. He really widens his base there. That's when he kind of chops his feet, settles down. It's consistent. He takes on pulling blocks incredibly well. He doesn't constantly run guys over, but typically he's going to get a nice little initial entry point, and he's going to be able to sustain the block through the rep to allow an angle to create itself, and that's what he does. I think that's his specialty as a player. Pulls his hip through contact to create seals. He settles in with good leverage. He plays with a wide base on combo blocks to create sustainability. It's just that his body weight to me is just a little bit hit and miss, but he has the redirecting footwork. You can really sustain blocks. He's got upside to do that, especially if his hand placement gets better. He closes airspace pretty well, and he's just fluid. He can open his hips. He can find extra work. He's very quick to go find extra work. That may lead to some whiffs early, but he can find extra work, and he does it in a hurry. He's always looking for action, and he's got a mauling mentality to him. I think he allows himself to play too upright, which is where his base gets skinny, especially when he's climbing up that next level, but his awareness is good there. When he's scooping blocks, again, he's a little bit more hunched over than anything. I think that makes it difficult for him to create knockback, and sometimes he gets out past his footwork when you're thinking about zone blocks, but he's got the agility out in space. He's got the agility on screens. He's actually got I think, adequate, acceleration when he's working out in space. He gets caught playing behind the line too often, especially on the backside of wide zones, and again, that's just a problem. He just gets caught catching blocks, and he just allows guys in his chest, and then it opens up holding opportunities as well. You don't want that for him. Settles his feet. It's well connected. I don't think his twitch in space is outstanding, which can be a little bit of a problem on screens, and sometimes I just don't know where he's going on screens either. I don't know how he's setting himself up. It doesn't seem to give him the best chance of success. He seems a little bit kind of just like he's running around randomly when he's put out in screens, but he has the athleticism to do it, so you see the upside there. I just don't love his feel at this time. But I do love his feel to find openings, stab defenders, get control early. He just has to kind of calm down on the whiffing blocks, but fluid changing directions. Ultimately here, I think this is a reliable, plus athlete. Probably needs some real technical growth, especially in pass pro. Though I think his upside is super high in pass pro. He's a team player. And as a run blocker, you have to have a scheme that works. I don't think you want to overextend him. Got enough to be somewhat versatile, I think, what you ask of him to this point. He comes in with a 5.5 grade for me. I love the fact that there's a reliability to his game as well. Plus reactive athlete to me, plus body control. A little bit underwhelming, especially in the anchor and the play strength. I think there's an anchor that can be created, and you don't see him typically get walked back. I just think that he gives up too much ground at this point. His run blocking, pass blocking in the same spot, slightly above average on both categories for me. There's things that I like, things that I don't like. His awareness is in a plus spot too. I think that could really take off with some really good coaching and a good scheme that fits him well. His footwork can be in a good spot here. That's pressing up to the good category. His second level is better than good at this point for me. I just think his range is a little bit more middling, but his footwork gives him a chance to be versatile, gives him a chance to do a lot for you, to get him in a lot of usage. His hand use needs a lot of work to me. I think it's just average, and his power just isn't there, but he can sustain blocks, he can finish, he's got flexibility, he's tough. I like DJ Campbell. I don't think this is going to be at anywhere near a day one pick. I don't know if that's a day two pick either, to be honest with you, but I do like the way that he plays the game, and he will grow on you, and I think the right team can find a good spot for him with time to potentially have an impact down the road and maybe some flexibility up front on the interior as well. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. That's DJ Campbell. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.